Good Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversations Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. We, of course, have your news headlines coming up in this hump day. We have the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and today in an entertainment spotlight, you being part of my conversation with Greg Everett about his new book, Tough. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Wednesday headlines. In Mississippi news, COVID-19 more prevalent in children than thought, according to UMMC study. The number of Mississippi children infected with the virus that caused COVID-19 during the pandemic may be much higher than previously thought. The findings were reported in a new study led by the University of Mississippi Medical Center, Mississippi State Department of Health, and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. While we see that younger children more commonly have milder disease with COVID-19, it turns out that there are a lot more kids infected with SARS-CoV-2 than case numbers indicate, said lead author Dr. Charlotte Hobbs, professor of pediatrics and infectious diseases at UMMC. The study found that the estimated percentage of Mississippi children with antibodies specific to SARS-CoV-2 increased by 2.6% of those collected in May to 16.9% of those collected in September. However, these values are substantially higher than the number of reported cases. For instance, the team estimated that nearly 118,000 children, about 1 out of every 6, has had SARS-CoV-2 by mid-September of last year. The Mississippi State Department of Health reported 9,044 COVID-19 cases during the same time, meaning that over 10 times as many children had SARS-CoV-2 infections than thought. Hobbs said the difference might be because children are more likely to be asymptomatic or have less severe symptoms of COVID-19 when infected. Because of this, a parent may be less likely to schedule a test for their child. In more Mississippi news, former Anchor sports director Rick Whitlow dies. Rick Whitlow, a longtime Jackson, Mississippi television news personality and a former candidate for Jackson mayor, has died. Whitlow's family announced his death in a Facebook post on Tuesday. Whitlow's family said he died after a battle with leukemia. Whitlow was a weekend and morning anchor at 16 WAPT News in the late 1990s before becoming the station's sports director through the early 2000s. He ran for mayor in 2005 and 2009. He also penned a book called Swagger, The Life and Times of Rick Whitlow. He was 67 years old. In national news, FBI chief calls January 6 domestic terrorism but defends intel. FBI Director Christopher Wray condemned the January riot at the U.S. Capitol as domestic terrorism Tuesday as he defended the Bureau's handling of intelligence indicating the prospect for violence. He told lawmakers the information was properly shared with other law enforcement agencies even though it was raw and unverified. Wray's comments before Congress in a rare public appearance since the deadly Capitol attack 2 months ago was the FBI's most vigorous defense against the suggestion that it had not adequately communicated the distinct possibility of violence as lawmakers certified the results of the presidential election. He also described in stark terms the threat from domestic violent extremists and said that contrary to some Republicans, there is no evidence that anti-Trump groups were involved in the riot. In more national news, Senate Democrats sorting final details of $1.9 trillion virus relief bill. Democrats sorted through lingering disagreements over emergency jobless benefits and other issues on Tuesday and prepared to commence Senate debate on the $1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief plan that would deliver a major victory to President Joe Biden. With Democrats having no margin for error in the evenly split 50-50 Senate, Biden was expected to urge them on by conference call. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said he planned to bring the sweeping bill to the vote as early as today, teeing up first votes on a bill aimed at energizing the nation's battle against the pandemic and its wounded economy. The huge package is a too-big-to-fail moment for the fledgling president, who would be politically staggered if Congress, controlled narrowly by Democrats but controlled nonetheless, failed to deliver. And finally, in entertainment news, Rock Hall plans October induction before live audience. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame said Tuesday that it plans to have a live induction of its 36th class on October the 30th in Cleveland before an actual audience. The induction ceremony will take place in the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, home of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and tickets will be available to the general public. We are optimistic and hopeful for the ceremony, said Greg Harris, President and CEO of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum. Inductees will be announced in May. Nominees include Jay-Z, the Foo Fighters, Mary J. Blige, the Go-Go's, Devo, and Carole King. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich. Enjoy.
Hi, this is Mary Ellen with your Truth of the Day. Pursue your dreams industriously and with determination. Begin by envisioning your dream. Now, efforts toward accomplishing this goal. Some of you may know what it takes to reach your goal. You are determined to get there as soon as possible. If you do not have a clear idea of what steps you need to take to reach your goal, you may find yourself wasting time or money on possibilities that will not work for you. The most important process you can use to achieve your goal is being aware of your thoughts, as your thoughts create your actions, creating your life experiences, and thus creating your success. Always follow your knowings, as this is God speaking to you. Today, reinforce your actions with the thoughts of possibilities, as this will draw your dreams into existence. Enjoy your day.
As I mentioned, Greg Everett is featured in today's Entertainment Spotlight, right here on Conversations Daily News. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with the Entertainment Spotlight. Greg Everett stopped by Conversations Live, the radio show, recently to talk about his new book, Tough, and what all of us can learn about it when it comes to approaching life differently. Here's a bit of our conversation.
Greg, a lot of great, I think, information in this book that all of us can use no matter where we might be in our lives or what our journey and past might be. What has it been like for you to see the way that people are already responding to the book?
Oh, it's been incredibly gratifying. And, one of the big concerns I had was that the book would not be accepted by a broad enough audience because of the title itself and the connotations that has. And how, the word tough itself might dissuade people from even picking up the book in the first place because of those associations. But I've had great feedback from a really wide array of people and, with different backgrounds, different experiences, different professions, and different reasons for being interested in the first place. So it's probably still going to be an uphill battle getting that message out there to the number of people that I would like. But I do think it's headed in the right direction in that sense.
When did you realize that for yourself, that you did not have to stay where you were and that where you began did not have to be where you finished?
I don't know when exactly I picked up on that. I think it was really early on in life. I was always just a very independent kid from an early age. And I think probably because my parents weren't around a lot, I wasn't really closely involved with my family. I was always kind of off doing my own thing and very early on was picking up any job I could get. I mean, from, age 9, 10, I was, had a paper route. I was painting fire curbs, sitting on my skateboard, rolling down the street, all these kinds of things. And so I had this sense that it was my responsibility to determine the course of my life, to determine who I was, what I wanted to achieve.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Conversations Daily News. We'll be back with you guys on tomorrow with more news, Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host Cyrus Webb saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Let's make it a great one.